more trying. It's now time to be. I'm going to be that sphere called the earth. Why not? I can shapeshift into that. How can I do it? Because I know I can do it. I believe I can do it. Why do I believe I can do it? Because the presence is all. It's all in all. So because there's no me and there's no earth and it's all one, what the heck? I can be a blue sphere. And I would like nothing more than to see you all at a gathering this evening, gathering from Arizona and California and New Jersey and New York and Connecticut, and gathering in one spot. And all of a sudden, we look at each other and see this great sphere of blue circling within us and outside of us. How cool would that be? Huh. Weight would no longer be an issue, I'll tell you that. How exciting. How exciting. Weight would not matter because you can be a blue, delightful spinning ball. So let me tell you a bit first about John Perkins. I have spoken of him before, but I spoke of him early on when I first started speaking on the radio. And many of you didn't hear what I had to say about him. John's a very interesting man, and he's come full circle. John has written a book which I subscribe everyone, especially high school students and college students, but everybody who thinks they know so darn much about how to run the world and who should be in charge of our world, etc., etc., I full on believe you should get a copy of Confessions of an Economic Hit Man. That's H-I-T, because that's what John was for years. And he readily admits now what happened to him and how he was pulled into that system and how eventually he could no longer live with it. But he exposes things that, is it hard to believe it? Is it difficult to understand that maybe there's a glimmer of truth in this? Yes, it's very difficult. I want to believe that it's a Pollyanna life and everyone is behaving beautifully and authentically and they're operating from the goodness of their spirit. It's just not so. But he had to walk a very dark walk. And I appreciate the fact that he had to walk that way because the light can't survive without the dark. And the dark can't survive without the light. So as he walked that walk, he's exposed you and I to the opportunity. He's exposed you and me to the opportunity that we should know more. You don't have all the answers. I was listening to some, very briefly, because I couldn't stand her voice coming on up here today, a woman broadcaster, first of all, a very strident voice. That's step one that I have to turn it off. But I thought, let me stay tuned for a few minutes. Well, my goodness, she was such an authority on political happenings. She did sound that she was probably about 23, that I thought, oh, honey, you don't have the life experience. You don't have anything. And she would probably come back, oh, I was a political science major. And I would go, whoopee. That is about as twisted as you can get, and that'll lead you nowhere. So unless you are so deeply enmeshed in a particular arm of a situation, whether it be education or government or military, we don't know anything. And we need to have the humility to accept that. And then be the very best you can be. Because it starts with you and it starts with me. So after John really had some very difficult years with the decision to get out of that business of being an economic hitman, and incidentally, mostly you can't get out. It's kind of like what I understand the mob is. You can't get out. So some which way, I think he has enough people in high places, and I think the light wanted to use him so that people like you and I could learn more about these systems and not to just be swallowing everything we're told. And then he has gone on to go back to these indigenous tribes and try to heal and help from a very honest point of view. So some of these tribes have actually shared with him the whole concept of shape-shifting. So it's a big bite. It's a big piece of work. And I'm still going to encourage you to do it. Okay, so let me see where else I was going to take you. I want to talk to you. I am going to... I better do. You can see I come in very prepared. Which one? What do I pick up first here? Okay. I want to talk about a young man that I met Saturday evening at a little event that I participated in. And this young man was in his late 20s, and he was with his mother, and he had a broken arm. And the mother was also, we were contributing to this particular little show, she and I, as well as several others were. So I first, hi, I'm so-and-so, and we exchanged, mothers, etc. And then I looked at this young boy who was sitting there with his head down and just not tuning in at all. And I looked at him with great compassion and said, how's that arm doing? And I hope the other guy looks worse than you, trying to just break the ice a little bit. And he smiled and said, no, his arm had been broken in 3 places, and it was very painful. Well, I never know why I have to show up somewhere. Showing up at that particular show was, I'm so old. I've done that, been there. I have the T-shirt, ate the popcorn. So they don't always hold that much excitement for me, but I had agreed to participate out of friendship for someone and out of a way to support the community. So I looked at this boy and thought, well, maybe he's why I'm here. So I asked his permission if I could go over and stand near him and just, share some energy so that if his arm wanted to heal a bit more easily and quickly and a little less painfully, I could gift him that. And he was very open to it. So over I go, and I just happened to have a little magic, I call it a magic wand. It was an amethyst wand that I just happened to have been told to take that with me to this show. So I was gently going over, I wasn't touching him at all, just stroking the energy about 3 or 4 inches up from his arm, and all of a sudden I saw his lovely back kind of straighten up and couldn't quite figure it out, but his fingers started to tingle and, just odd sensations of heat and cold alternatively in his arm. And I said to him, well, the doctors have probably told you it'll take 6 to 8 to 12 weeks to heal. And that's normal. That's pretty much what they're used to. But that does not need to be your truth. You can fast forward that if you can process what I'm saying and allow it to heal effortlessly. And he was agreeable to that. And some which way, as we talked, I was sharing with him. And for those of you who have any sort of break, a break is an opening. The Spirit's trying to tell you something that you couldn't hear unless it kind of broke you apart a little bit. So I said, this is a change of life for you and an opportunity to change direction, change pathways. And it's fairly strong because you got 3 breaks, and 3's a good sign, but must hurt like the dickens. And as the conversation went on, he was processing it. And for those of you who are experiencing a break right now, this is another piece of the puzzle that I shared with him. You need to be having a lot of green drinks with a lot of celery, a lot of kale, and beets and carrots. simply because that will restore the bone very quickly and get your blood strong again. Okay, he was good with that. The conversation went on, and finally, okay, it came to a close, and I went back over to my little space, and, well, it turns out that the mother shared a little bit more with me, that, yes, he has gone through a very difficult time, and he had different opportunities with substances that were certainly not working in his favor. Finally, the young man, now I have to share with you, this was a beautiful young man. This was a man that I would want to call my son. He was just magnificent. I could see it. And he pulled out his iPhone and said, I want to show you something. I have a picture on here. And he was with a group of people. He said there was an entity, a negative entity that latched on. And he showed me the picture. You could actually see this entity hovering over him. It was really alarming. And I said, well, first of all, you need to take this picture off of here because you keep reinforcing the energy. And the other thing was, and kind of humorously, I said, from a feng shui point of view, because he had also shared now, he had a lovely new girlfriend, but the picture with this entity and himself had the other girlfriend. I said, that's not even fair to the new girlfriend. She needs your fresh energy. But I bring this up because there is such a thing as these dark entities. And what happens is they are absolutely trying to gain control of the innocent, the young, and the particularly sensitive and beautiful souls. And how are they doing this? They're doing it through too much alcohol, the kind of alcohol that causes you to pass out or black out. It's doing it to you through too much participation at pubs and places where a lot of alcohol is served. They're actually waiting to descend, and they're waiting and watching. It's a really creepy thing. I've read of this before, but he reminded me to do a little bit more research on it, which, of course, I have done yesterday. And where else do these entities look for an opening? Through the drug culture. I know people think, oh, pot, it's just pot. Yeah, right. Little too much is very, very dangerous. They do it through, of course, cocaine, and of now through heroin. So you want to start cleaning house. Now I will hit on Dragon Month. Dragon is the third month of the season called spring, energetically. All right, this is not, again, it's not the Western calendar. These are the galactic calendars and the lunar calendar. So it's the third month. The third month of every season is transformation, transition, but with a capital T, big time. It's a golden opportunity. The string here, it's a wood dragon. And you've heard me say early on in this show, wood is stubborn. It's obstinate. It's fixed. It's that chip on the shoulder, chip off the old block. It's the chip on the shoulder that I've actually had people say to me, don't tell me. Okie dokie. It's if they're not actually saying it verbally, their body language is saying it. Don't tell me to put down my grudge. Don't tell me to put down my resistance or my need for revenge. Alrighty then. My nature is, I'm very water. So I'm like, okie dokie, I will flow right on. I have no need to push against that. I have a need to share information. Why do I have that need? It feels good to me. That's the only reason. I'm not real needy with it. This month, this week, this year, feels good to share information. The minute that's no longer true, that'll go away.